afternoon and welcome to Boğaziçi Finance Conference 2020. My name is Aslı Başoğlu and I'm a professor at the University of Delaware. I would like to start by thanking the Center for Applied Research in Finance at the Boğaziçi University for organizing this Congress and giving me the opportunity to be here. I would like to use the next 15 minutes to talk to you about the term RPA, Robotic Process Automation, that was coined in 2012 by the company Blue Prism. Forecasts indicate that the market for robotic technology to reach $29 billion in the US by next year. This is a drastic development from the $250 million in 2016, when the term was first marked as a mainstream process improvement tool. But the question is, why the move towards robotic process way of automating? Businesses always try to automate their processes, but it's not an easy task. They adopt financial process automation technologies, build service-oriented architectures to enable applications to work together. These systems require data from multiple different sources. The challenge is further compounded when dealing with automating processes that span across enterprise applications, external partners and customer systems, websites, online services, and so on. So building a solution that will connect every system and every possible source of information, and on top, automating every manual task will be a headache in terms of complexity, time, as well as budget. And because RPA sits on top, rather than trying to replace an organization's existing technology, it complements the core system and also does not disrupt their day-to-day operations. But what is RPA? RPA is the use of a software or a bot, or you may just hear it as a robot, that replicates the actions of a human being interacting with the user interface of a computer system. In other words, it's a rule-based system that executes the processes without the need for constant human supervision and can connect multiple systems without changing the existing IT landscape, such as moving data, cleaning, processing, and creating. And when it's applied to the right tasks, which I will get to next, RPA can provide significant time and money savings as it allows workflows to run autonomously without manpower. But what kind of tasks are best suited for RPA? The typical process characteristics that businesses seek in a task that are best suited for RPA are those that are repetitive, rule-based, high in volume, labor-intensive, can be standardized based on structured data and has multiple steps. As highlighted within these characteristics, it becomes clear that we are not really talking about tasks that require judgment, but those tasks that are more or less robotic. By implementing RPAs, our goal is to take the robotic tasks out of the human. Also, RPA targets various processes within an organization and is not really restricted to a certain area. We see it implemented in financial operations, IT, human resources, procurement, and so forth. For instance, within financial operations, RPAs can help with data entry, invoicing, receipt tracking, tax calculations. For instance, an RPA can access the database for new sales, identify the sales or rows where an invoice has not been created or sent, open a document, import the sale-related information, form a PDF, grab the buyer's email, create an email, attach the document, and send it, and also notify the seller about the sent receipt. In IT, it can diagnose and fix technical problems, can track open tickets, and provide technical customer service. And with human resources, it can help organize timesheets, store documents, and even calculate benefits of employees. And in terms of developing the RPA program or the bot itself, whether it is with the software companies like UiPath, Blue Prism, Automation, or any other, we'll see that it doesn't really require a deep engineering talent. It's more or less like the software Visio, where it has a lot of drag and drop options. But the key issue here is that it all starts with clearly defining the workflow, that is the step-by-step process explanation for the bot in terms of what steps it should take to complete the task. Also in terms of the process and depending on the task, we can design unattended robots or attended ones, which asks human along the way certain questions to validate, to help out. In terms of applications, there's a lot of RPA investments in finance, audit, and risk management. But why are RPAs, or why is RPA vital for finance? Financial information is structured, and RPA hence lends itself as a great candidate to govern such data within legacy systems. For instance, it can notify entities for expiring contracts, send emails prior to expiration dates, alert the parties, or RPAs can even spot common payroll discrepancies, solve issues with data reconciliation problems, create reports, and alert the entities. Overall, RPA can take some tasks out of the hands of the employees, can save time, cut costs, and also lower the error rate. And we see a lot of RPA implementations within the banking industry, given their repetitive, multi-step, labor-intensive processes. For instance, card application requests. And an RPA can validate the new client with their social security number, match their new 16-digit credit card number to the new credit card database, and by following a few more steps, it can activate the credit card without having an actual person talk to the customer. RPAs are also implemented for mortgage approvals to calculate and move data from one database to another. Also completing credit card applications, extracting e-forms, creating reports. Nevertheless, RPA is often seen to pair with other tools such as natural language processing tools and AI. The reason comes from a drawback of RPA. The drawback of RPA is that it can read a contract, move data between systems, if it is exactly what the script indicates it to be. If not, we often need to pair with other natural language processing tools to help out RPA execute the task. For instance, optical character recognition can read an invoice that is not structured the way that RPA is supposed to read, extract the numbers that are required for the process to take place, pull out values like the tax value, the dollar amount, grab that information, push it onto RPA so that the RPA can execute the remainder of the task. So other tools act as the feeders for RPA. Another example within the US is the Bank of America's AI-enabled chatbot named Erica, which can understand text and speech delivered by humans. Also, the bank operates another machine learning chatbot that can give advice and recommendations based on the customer's financial spending, and even lock and unlock debit cards depending on the user's request. Citibank also implements similar softwares and which can monitor customers' payments depending on their locations and depending upon the transfers and the expenditures that the customer is making. And if it is not a location that they're frequently visiting, the software can send alerts to the fraudulent analysts without even the transaction taking place. We also see RPA implementations within risk management. RPAs can tackle various compliance functions. So it could be as simple as conducting vendor due diligence to as complex as managing customer complaints and data protection and privacy. In terms of checking for vendor due diligence, bots can automate clearly defined checkpoints, such as reviewing whether a potential vendor is on the list of a prohibited third party. When enhanced with AI, machine learning tools can analyze a much wider range of data sources to uncover risks, such as checking for court records, public statements to see if it shows the vendor anywhere as red flagged. Regarding managing customer complaints, Bots can automatically log the complaints that they grab from the customer, send them for review, and track the outcomes. When it is paired with machine learning tools and voice analyses, it can detect negative emotions and provide real-time feedback to the customer and help resolve a call or flag the issue for escalation. In terms of managing data privacy, bots can review privacy requests and check customer data against any consent and revocation databases. And with the help of machine learning technologies, can be used in data classification and risk scoring, which helps compliance professionals prioritize their resources on high risk and urgent areas. In the area of audit, we see that audit also echoes the benefits of RPA. And this is primarily due to the repetitive step-by-step nature of a lot of the tasks within audit. We see the audit processes naturally lending themselves for RPA to be beneficial. What kind of tasks are we talking about? These are, it varies anywhere from providing assurance to engagement. And within the processes, we also see simple steps that can be automated. For instance, RPAs can be responsible for collecting prior audit findings from other systems and gathering them and collecting them. They can also do simple analyses, contract reviews, and simple comparisons. In other words, we see RPAs in simple reviews as well as during the steps of the audit. RPAs can also perform revenue conciliation automatically. They can access client files, search for revenue listings, extract revenue, import, calculate, and do comparison analyses as well. Also in Turkey, we see a significant amount of RPA developments that expands from healthcare to automotive sector, retail, banking, insurance, energy, and many more. For instance, within the hospital industry, healthcare industry, we see hospitals using it to migrate patient information and also to manage customer appointments, where the RPAs will be responsible for reminding the customers about their upcoming appointments, either via email or simple voicemail, depending on their preference of communication. And healthcare also uses it to process medical invoices. And within the automotive sector, Borusan claimed that they have saved close to 3,000 human days by simply implementing software RPAs within their finance and operations department. Moreover, we also see a lot of RPA implementations within the banking industry in Turkey. One of the unique implementation is by the Albarka Turk, who has implemented a unique signature application that controls for the customers when they're signing for their position, the pressure level, and the speed of the signature to control for any fraudulent activities that someone else could be doing on their behalf. However, like every other technology, return on investment or RPAs needs a close investigation. Implementing RPAs brings so much more than just cost savings. Standardizes the processes, leaves an audit trail, reduces the error rate, gives employees and staff more free time for staff engagement, liberates them from repetitive tasks that are often referred to as boring work, frees up their time and allows them to focus on activities that machines cannot perform, such as using judgment and their skills. And also, unlike some of the criticisms that RPA gets, such as it takes away some of the jobs, actually RPAs do create new jobs such as RPA developer and RPA analyst. Nevertheless, RPAs do bring in some risks that the companies do need to pay close attention to. They need to think about the man hours spent developing an RPA versus the man hours needed to complete a task. So if it is worth their time to go down that route. RPAs can also implement, expose some legal risks for the company, given that the RPAs needs to access certain documents and systems automatically. This may require new licenses to be purchased, which can increase the cost of implementing RPAs. And one of the most critical questions that come with RPA implementation is, are we implementing it at the right spot for the right activities? And one more issue with RPAs is, given that RPAs can move a lot of sensitive information and sensitive data, it may expose the company for potential cyber threat. Thank you so much for listening and being here. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you again for all the sponsors and Boğaziçi University for this wonderful program. If you have any questions, you can reach me at asli@udel.edu. And last I checked, I was last talk before lunch, so bon appetit.